my gender pronouns is she or her, please. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna start my speech in 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ancestry Scholarship has become very vital nowadays method to enter a scholarship, and maybe some of family have already done this because of want to help, aiming to help another family members to get into school and so on and so forth. But we believe that what need to be recognized from ancestry scholarship first is they become very very exclusive only for particular people and from particular family. For example, if you were born in a Baswedan family, you're going to only and exclusively going to achieve and or get the scholarship only if you are the family of Baswedan for several kind of label. For example, if you were the cicit or if you are the cucu, you are not going to get particular scholarship. Is actually literally and based on the agreement and based on the requirements itself. We will say, even if it's very very exclusive and only for particular people, there is specific more specific requirements to be to be needed, ladies and gentlemen. But lastly, we can acknowledge that their ancestors, for example, the family ancestors, is simply very very rich or enough to be rich for so that they can give funding towards their family to continue schools and so on and so forth. We believe that this kind of very very complicated ways and requirements is very very harmful if we are keep applying the ancestry scholarship rather than giving a financial aid and academic scholarship itself. First of all, why we think that inclusivity is matter on education and why exclusivity is very, very harmful. First, uh, by ancestry scholarship means that you have to be born on such particular family. Meanwhile, you cannot choose where to born and to live, ladies and gentlemen. For example, like you cannot choose to you cannot tell God that you want to live or you want to born in Baswedan family or if Basalaba family and so on and so forth. We believe that this is very very harmful and this is going to be uh, um, violating the basis of objective penilaian and so on and so forth. First of all, we believe that education should be as inclusive as possible, since the human resources development is exclusively on education, and we believe that education is the only way to elevate life quality, ladies and gentlemen. For example, you're very smart, but you do not have have particular family name. Simply you just cannot go to school or you just cannot continue to the university because you do not have that particular family name on your name, ladies and gentlemen. This is very harmful. Why? Because of people being judged for something they cannot choose at beginning of the day. We believe that this is also going to going to decrease and going to eliminate a smart people, a smart person, only to become a for example pelayan or employee, just because they cannot go to school because they cannot have that particular back name. But what is academic scholarship and why the academic scholarship and financial aid is important rather than the ancestry scholarship? And we are going to also explain like how we would ban this kind of scholarship. First of all, we believe that academic scholarship is based on score and achievements, and it's help to value person like objectively and no bias at all. We believe that these three particular elements are really really important to be straightened up. Why? Because in education you cannot just simply judge people by their back name, by their family name. And second of all, how to objectively judge people or how to objectively examine whether these people is smarted or not is of course based on score and achievement only, listener. Even if when you are, for example, beautiful or for example have a particular family name but you do not have a such significant significant as academic achievement, you cannot be acknowledged as a a great student and so on and so forth. We believe that this is very very justified under our side of the house. Second of all, what about financial aid, ladies and gentlemen? We believe that the main goals of financial aid is to assist to fund any education fee for lower economic background family. We believe that the lower economic background family is still need any education, especially schools, especially university or high school and so on and so forth, because we believe that the education is the only way to elevate their life quality. For example, like your family is only the family of petani, for example, a farmer, then you are going to you are want to continue your life or continue your educations towards university, very famous university, for example, like UI. If you do not have specific fam name, you cannot go to UI just simply because you do not have any enough money, and you cannot afford it, ladies and gentlemen. It's simply like that. So you just only going to be you just going on you just only going to become a farmer until the end of the day, because that's how the cycle going on. You just cannot simply going abroad or going move out from the city, because they will not going to accept you anyway. But second of all, how to ban this kind of this kind of scholarship and switching to the financial aid and academic scholarship. We believe that first of all, as a university, we should close the admission of this kind of scholarship, ladies and gentlemen. For example, like we as a university are giving a very exclusive or giving an exclusive scholarship by university itself, held by university, for those who are for those who want to be admitted, or for those who are registered as a students, for example. This is going to be allowed on our side of the house. Second of all, switching the fund and allocating the financial aid and scholarship from previous method and way of scholarship, rather than just looking at your family name. It's rather to switch the fund for those who are really need that kind of a particular funding, and also for those who are really proper and objectively great, objectively as a great students, rather than only for those who are only as a member of Baswedan family or Basmala family, and so on and so forth. And lastly, we believe that this is or not what's the best scenario. We believe that the exclusive inclusivity is achievable, because it is not only a Baswedan family or Basmala family are going to get this particular scholarship, but everyone could get this, as long as they are capable, and as long as they're married, ladies and gentlemen. But worst case scenario, even if the opposition side of that said that the equality is not going to be 100% exist, it's okay, because even if equality will not be 100% shift, the rich people are not going to violate and harming there still be a bigger chance for lower economic background family, and we believe that that's the most matter. That's why I'm proud to open this debate.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for this fine speech. To open the debate, to respond to case from government side, please welcome the leader of opposition.
Setting my timer. Okay, I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In the current status quo, ancestry scholarship exists because our ancestor wants their descendants to be able to afford to study. They want them to complete their studies with ease, and that is why they implement the ancestry scholarships. And it's very obvious if the ancestry scholarships, along with the funding from the scholarships such as financial aid and academic scholarship, have a purpose when they are established in the first day. With this kind of scholarships, people who can afford to get the to continue their study with ease, as long as their descendants, as long as time goes by, there will be increment in the descendants, and many people will get the benefits of the ancestry scholarships. And now their side of the house wanted to ban the ancestry scholarships and take away their rights for of scholarship from them. We believe that it's the same as taking away their rights to study, and they're going to take away their right to be able to study regardless their status, whether they're privileged, middle, or to lower class. There will also be a big impact to those people who can't afford to continue their study just because their scholarships are taken away suddenly, and the funding from those scholarships will be reverted because of their side of the house proposal. the funding is the means of the ancestor to help their descendants with the feeling willingly to at least help them decreasing their burden to let their descendants to buy necessities and sustain their daily life, so they won't have the need to be bothered by those problems and study peacefully. And our side of the house can provide you a better impact and better benefit than the other side of the house. We wouldn't bring harm to the students who are currently getting the scholarships and affect their studies. And so what their side of the house need to prove to us is how their side of the house can have a less impact and harms to the vulnerable actors when they implemented the banning proposal. And moving on to my rebuttals, few rebuttals I'm going to bring up today. First, even if they stated that there will be people who are not in the family won't get the Ancestry scholarship, and even we believe that even if there are people who are not in the family who have the access to Ancestry scholarships, their exposure to other type of scholarships also, and we believe that they can strive for those kind of scholarships instead. And for example, there are merit-based scholarships and other kind of scholarships for those who can afford for their studies. And secondly, why would the people be waitress or other kind of job lower than that if they if they achieve the scholarships? Scholarships are intended to give a higher education for people in the society, and we believe it's going to be beneficial if there are lots of people who can get the scholarships. It's going to result in more manpower in our side of the house. Having more manpower means that we'll have more than the people currently in the status quo to work and build the country and boost the productivity of certain country. And their side of the house stated that it's going to be very harmful if we don't ban the scholarships and yada yada yada. And we believe it's going to it's not going to be that harmful as they stated, because there won't be a need to abolish the scholarships if it's not going to give a significant effect to the people in the current status quo. And moving on to my arguments, firstly, why is it justified to abide to their side of the house proposal? Why is it morally okay to ban the Ancestry scholarships and reverting the funding from those scholarships exclusively to financial aid and academic scholarships? Since their ancestors give the fund, so it means that they are willingly to give the fund to the descendants, juniors, and etc. And people who have the same surname, and yeah, not because of other people, not because other people they not because they are being forced by others. And remember that funding is from their from the bottom of their heart, and that is why we believe that the ancestor have purpose to implement the Ancestry scholarships that are currently exist in the current status quo, and which is why we believe that banning the Ancestry scholarship is not going to be a good proposal. And if we take their scholarships, it is exactly the same as stealing their right or wealth for no reason. And even if it will help other people in need, but do we need to steal other people's will and rights to do that? And by all those reasons, we are so proud to oppose.
All right, thank you so much for that fine speech. To respond the case and continue the case from government side, please welcome the deputy, the deputy, the deputy from government. Here.
Okay, I want to start my debate. 3, 2, 1. This House would ban ancestry scholarship and revert any funding from those scholarships exclusively to financial aid and academic scholarship. I want to make sure in this case, this house is educational institution, so of course it's under our interest for the exclusively, and also I want to say that why we have to ban ancestry scholarship, because the distribution of these scholarships cannot be evenly distributed, because only children have the privilege of their family descendant, and such of those things is not really needed to be requirement. Why it's not necessary? Because children will get ancestry scholarship cannot be proven to eligible for the scholarship. Why it's not eligible? Because financially the children will get the scholarship come from a rich family and have a good connection with their blood, and and for for that reason, actually this is not eligible to get the scholarship. And to prove that these children come from for a rich family can afford to pay for their education, and we can prove also that they're really smart or capable enough to get the scholarship. And someone will have to get the scholarship have to smart enough, capable enough, and really need it. But those children will have this kind of scholarship, which is ancestry scholarship, come from rich family, and also we can't prove that they are really smart or capable. The scholarship recipients should be pay for their education, so that the benefit on the scholarship can be truly targeted and really useful. Because with this kind of children, they work hard without any descendant or the same blood or the privilege to get a funding and to prove their ability to get the scholarship. So the target is correct because they have an effort and enough requirements such as a need funding, smart and capable. For example, like there is a poor student and a very smart and capable but can't continue their studies because do not have money. But children with a descendant privilege, even without a scholarship, they still can continue their study because they have enough money and also enough direction for their parents, and also they get a good connection from their descendant of the same blood. But the poor children do not have, and they have to work by themselves to have a better future. So let's imagine how much money or fund that can be allocated from the for the proper student outside who do not have a destined privilege who can get if uncertainty scholarship successfully banned. And when we talk about future impact in ancestry scholarship still allowed, the gap between rich people and the poor people become more wide, because the children who have a destined privilege can have a better education, but the children in the poor family do not have the privilege and cannot have a better education. So it is not fair. They have to work hard to get something for their life, not only based on descendant privilege. And this is much better if the funding of uncertain scholarship reallocated to the academic scholarship. And imagine how many poor children smart and proper and really need scholarship. And for the future, if the poor children can afford a better education, so the equality of the economy can be really high, because the gap between the rich and the poor is no longer available. So that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for this fine speech. To respond the case from opposition team, please welcome Deputy Leader Opposition. Here.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you very are.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm going to set my timer first. My sound is clear, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So for POI, I prefer on chat. So if you guys have any POI, just type it in the chat box. So yeah, I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, in current status quo, many people that can study can graduate due to family, economic, and many more aspects. Remember that they have dream and they want to achieve that. They want to achieve, right? Remember that they also do want to be in that situation. They have dream to achieve. That's why there are this thing called scholarship, right? Due to helping these underprivileged people that struggling to pay bills. In our side of the house, we want to have this ancestry scholarship and revert any funding from those scholarships exclusively to financial aid and economic scholarship, right? With this scholarship, we can help them. We can brighten their future. We can make their life become bright again. With this funding, day by day, month by month, years by years, this will give a big impact and a big amount of money that we can use to help them, right? So what we're trying to solve in our side of the house, this house would like to have this ancestry scholarship and revert any funding from those scholarship exclusive to financial aid and economic scholarship, that they are going to have many financial aid and economic aid, which going to help them many like, yeah. So moving on to my rebuttal today, I'm going to give several rebuttal about the other side of the house stated earlier. So going to my first rebuttal, they stated that harmful because not all ancestors are rich and etc. Right, which they mean that it's a bird of luck they that live rich or privileged, like, right, and they don't have this certain surname of or etc. And which they say that they going to eliminate the people that don't have this back name, right? Remember, and going to my answer, right? Remember that in one place where in high school and many place, right, especially in big school, high school, with a big name like Harvard and many others, right? There are many kinds of and many kinds of surname and back name, not only one big name, which back name or surname in here like Zhang, Simanjuntak, Washington, and many more, right? Which have big possibility of every single person have their ancestor in that place, right? Even if their ancestor aren't rich, in our side of the house, we're going to create this mechanism that is not going to force people. If there are people want to give one, they can just give small amount day by day, month by month, year by year, which going to at the end of the day it will be a big amount, which in which that not only the privileged people that can give this fund, but underprivileged also can make this fund or join this fund, right? And we're not going to force them to give big amount in one time. Therefore, doesn't mean that they have to be rich or so that they can give fund. And also, we will not to erase this system that in current status quo, which we only give more alternative, which they can choose what by by themselves what they want to achieve, right? Which by this reason already answered that what they stated repetitively about our side of the house, that our side of the house can bring harm and only privilege that have this scholarship, which we believe that our side of the house should win this debate panels, and which underprivileged also can in conclusion that only not only the privilege can to which they can help their juniors, right? And going to my second rebuttal, panels the fact that they only attack us and not give us a better solution. If they had given better solution, they just give the solution that already have in this status quo, and they don't explain it further. And also the fact that in current status quo, many students don't have that as access to have scholarship, which they only accept students which have good academic, right? And if we can prove that, we can provide you a better impact and a better benefit than the other side of the house, and we wouldn't bring harm, then we will win this debate. So going to my argument, first argument, we can help many students who need this scholarship or willing to achieve this scholarship with this small funding day by day, month by month,
years by years, then it will be a big amount of money that can use to people that are struggling on paying their scholarship fee. Maybe their side of the house might think that how about that people that already have privilege that get this fund, right? Then it will be okay as long as the ancestor or people that give fund will thinks that it's okay. And since it's a fund, as my first speaker say, then who accept this the fund, it will be a matter since it's a fund, right? Whether they are privileged or underprivileged. So going to my second argument, remember that many people in current study school hire people with certain stuff so that they will accept them in their company, right? Which one of them is that are they graduated or non-graduated, right? Remember that many people can graduate because of the underprivilege of their family, which is not they're willing to live like that. Remember that in their life it's not how they can control whether they are rich or poor, right? And the fact that many companies still accept the graduated people because they see that graduated people is the people that can work, right? Therefore, if they get work because of this scholarship that we give, right, then their child will be lived properly and so go on, which will goes and under unlimited because they can afford to pay the college of their child and go on, right? Which with this system we're going to help many people. And going to my third argument, they might think that with this system there are some ancestor that think that this fund that given to the people, then they will think they will have this feeling like expecting something to give back in order to pay back, right? Or they will expect to that the junior will give something back to them, right? Therefore, it would have been happened in our side of the house. Why? Because it's a fun. I repeat, it's a fun. Therefore, there will be no hard feeling or feeling to expect something back. Since remember that the possibility of people that going to accept this fund is the underprivileged people. Therefore, this ancestor will not going to expect more since their motive is to help other people, especially the underprivileged people, and not to expect something back. And they also know that they are underprivileged, which they won't expect more to since that they are underprivileged and they are people that need help, which it's our vulnerable actor, right? It's because that they want help. So comparatively, meanwhile, their side of the house, they won't bring benefit. Panels, the fact that they only attack us and not give a better solution, which we think their system on the side of the house won't be effective as much as our side of the house, which also their side of the house don't explain anything. And also we going to implement this ancestry scholarship, and we're not going to erase the system that already have in this current study school, which only accept student with academic, which going to accept academic student only, right? Which we're not going to interrupt the current study school system, and we just only going to implement new system. So in conclusion, our side of the house will implement ancestor scholarship and revert any funding to scholarship exclusively to financial aid. And that because of those reasons, we are so proudly to propose. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that fine speech. To close the debate from the government side, please welcome government with here.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, wait, I'm going to set my timer first. My gender pronouns is she or her, and my POI preference is through the chat box. So please do not unmute yourself. I will be checking out the chat box itself. All right. Wait. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, what the opposition side of the House wants in this debate is totally half the stars, ladies and gentlemen. Notice how they only mention about this is only a fund. They are the ones who collect the fund, and then the funding can be used by other people and yada yada yada. But notice they never even pay attention to the mechanism that has been mentioned in the context slide, which is the one that can participate in this kind of scholarship. Please keep in mind that we're talking about also a scholarship are the ones who have the same back name or surname or family name, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore, for another example, is like the one who can join a Downey scholarship, for example. You should be a Downey. You should be the one who still have the same bloodline with this Downey, ladies and gentlemen. So that is how the scholarship works, right? So notice under the government opposition of the house, they only mention about the fun, which is not, this is not only this is not the only thing that we are talking about in this debate. We are also talking about why ancestry scholarships are, and the mechanism that happening on the status quo is very, very harmful. And they never even understand, they never even pay attention to our clear solution. Then they claim that we never give you any good solution and yada yada yada. But we believe that it's already clear, crystal clear, that our solution is to ban the ancestor scholarship and instead revert the funding from those scholarship exclusively to financial aid and academic scholarship, ladies and gentlemen. So what's hard to understand here, right? So that is our solution, and we believe that under our side, our goal, which is inclusivity, will be more achievable under our side, ladies and gentlemen. Why is that so? Because under our side, we could actually reach out to everyone, not only the one who has the same surname or family name with those ancestry scholarship, for example, right? So therefore, that is what the mechanism that and benefit that is not going to happen under the opposition of the House, ladies and gentlemen. Also notice how they never explain to us about the privilege itself, ladies and gentlemen. They keep claiming that we can brighten the future of other people as well, ladies and gentlemen. But how? How are you going to brighten everyone's future while the one who can join your scholarship is only the one who has the same family name as you, for example, right? So therefore, of course, it is very, they are they are valuing exclusivity too much, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, when we're talking about birthright, since notice how the first speaker of the opposition of the house is mentioning about if we ban this scholarship, we are taking away their birthright to have their scholarship and education, ladies and gentlemen. But notice how this birthright is also everybody's right to have education, ladies and gentlemen. So the one that's taking everyone's birthright is you, the one who are valuing more exclusivity than inclusivity, ladies and gentlemen, because they also agree that everyone should have the same access to education, right? But one thing that cannot be achieved under their side is that the inclusivity is never going to happen, since the one who can join that scholarship and that aid are only the one who have the same family name as them, ladies and gentlemen, right? Second of all, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that they also saying about, how do you say, there is no expectation to return anything and so on and so forth. We don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. In life, there is a rule called give and take, ladies and gentlemen. If you give something, it means you are expected to take something from them, right? Especially when we're talking about a family system, which is like a dynasty system, right? So therefore, there is always they are always asking something in return, ladies and gentlemen. But another example, right? Your parents are feeding you, your parents are paying for your tuition, for example, with expectation that you could return what they give to you in the form of successful, for example, in the form of taking care of them when they are old, for example, right? So therefore, no expectation to return is something that could not be trusted, ladies and gentlemen, because this is life, not a fairy tale, and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, when we're talking about equal access, of course, under our side, we believe that we could have won in this debate, ladies and gentlemen. Why is that so? Because our main concern is that this scholarship should be eligible for everyone, not only the one who have the family name, like what I mentioned earlier, right? The problem that we have under the opposition of the house are the one who has who should the problem is the privilege. They are too glorifying by the privilege, ladies and gentlemen. For example, like their family are rich, right? So therefore, even if they don't get the scholarship itself, they can still afford an education, ladies and gentlemen, a good one even, because their family has no difficulty to afford the education, right? So therefore, it is not that harmful under our side as well, ladies and gentlemen. And other claim by the opposition of the house is that more manpower to build our country and blah blah blah. We believe that no, it is the other way around. We believe that it is much less manpower if this house, as the educational institution, keep having the ancestry scholarship, because you are basically indirectly limiting and building a boundary for the ones who can access a good education by the one who can have this scholarship are only the one who have the same family name as what I told you earlier, right? So therefore, we believe that it will be less manpower, because people who are in need, people who are truly in it, basically, but don't have any the same surname as you, they don't get the chance, ladies and gentlemen. Even if under the operations of the house, they are talking about the funding that were collected by the certain ancestry family name and blah blah blah. We believe that it is not as how do you say, as exclusive as if we turn this ancestry scholarship into a regular scholarship, basically. For example, like the requirement in general scholarship is going to be like, you don't have to have the same family name as this. You only need to have 4.0 GPA, for example. You only need to have certain experience, for example, right? So that kind of requirements that is going to happen under our side are the one that is achievable for literally everyone. Because when it's under the operation of the house, the mechanism only if you have family name, you have more chance to get the scholarship itself, because you have that certain privilege that cannot be got by other people that is not your family bloodline, ladies and gentlemen. And even if the operation of the house still claiming that there are many more surname or family names, so therefore they could easily build an ancestry scholarship by themselves. Marga are the ones who are extremely rich, ladies and gentlemen. Notice how everyone doesn't have the same background, especially in economical sector, right? So therefore, we believe that it is also not going to happen under the side only. We believe that it'll be much better under our side, because the inclusivity and equal access to education will be more likely to be achieved under our side, because that is the concern and the interest of the education institution as this house, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that fine speech. To close the case from opposition, please welcome opposition whip. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So my preferred method of POI is directly unmute yourself and directly unmute yourself. So I will start my argument in 3, 2, 1. And goal in this motion that is to increase people who can learn in school or college by scholarship. But we believe the hours of the house is better, more moral and ethical, because we don't suddenly take their rights and wealth. We don't suddenly take their rights and wealth because of something. Why would the rich people pay the price and solve the problem that should be solved by the government itself? Because of this, why should the rich people pay the price? And um and this luck based surname, yes, this is luck based. People cannot decide their surname. But should these quote unquote lucky student who get the same surname and get the ancestor scholarship, and at the end who get the scholarship pay the price for just have the same surname, it's the same at the end. It's the same at both house. This is luck based. Should the rich people and the people who quote unquote get lucky pay the price for the government for the problem that should be solved by the government, especially in the status quo? Especially in the status quo, would it help at all in this status quo in quarantine at all? Of course not. I think that the government bench or team should think other important thing than suddenly ban ancestry scholarship that already be done by generation and years. Uh, this this argument from the government side, this make the government team goals not morally ethical at all. Uh, this explanation is also the same as Thanos' explanation. At the end like this, 50 he will destroy 50% of the population in the war. Yes, this is good. The rest will live will live great. But is it morally correct? No, it's the same as this. We cannot suddenly take their we cannot suddenly take people scholarship because they have the same because they have the same surname. We cannot take that they take their right to have to get the scholarship. Before I go to my rebuttals, there are something I need to tell. The government didn't talk about what will happen to the student who's supposed to get the scholarship because they have the same surname but who also poor. This debate, there are some main clashes that we have to say or we have to must discuss about. The first is on the result of the house is more morally ethical. The second is on the last is on the result of the house will make more students be able to study. As we know, outside of the house already explained both classes by my first and second speaker. The government team goals, as we know, is also we know already didn't fulfill the second classes is there is on the result of the house is and the result of the house is more morally ethical. So I think that's why we should win this debate. If we don't get this at all, I will move along to my rebuttals. Today I will start with my four. I will rebutting four things from the government side say. The first one is the first speaker from the government side say this scholarship violates the people who can choose which family they are born with. So at the end, the different surname cannot and poor cannot go to cannot get the scholarship. I can say the same. If you take the ancestral scholarship or bandit, the ancestor and people should have the scholarship. You have taken their rights and violated their rights, and you have violated especially the ancestor will. The second rebuttal I will say is based on this first. After the first vehicle say from the government side is the person who will not get the scholarship is and is poor. They will not get high education and will be waiter or farmers or any other jobs. The first vehicle from the government side is looking for our worst side case scenario. The ancestor scholarship not only applied to the surname that has not only applied to the surname that has been bring in the context. There are others. There are the surname that to be able to have scholarship. Plus, if you see the in context, not only a person in the family does get this scholarship, but the students who have the same surname. So, this person or the student who has the same surname will not be 100% rich. Some maybe will be poor or unprivileged, and they can use this system to get the scholarship and and be able to have a good future. Next, based on the third speaker from government side government side say if we take if we ban this and take the funds and take the scholarship, we be able to give the scholarship and give it to everyone. This is impossible. There's once a movement to give everyone a scholarship, but at the end, this is also failed. Do you want to make do you want to make a proposal or campaign to give everyone a scholarship? And then it will fail. Why would we change something that should be changed? No, something that no, we should change this. We should find another solution. And the fourth of the last rebuttals I will say is based on the government say the student will not able to, the student who is able to go to scholarship will not able to get scholarship. Based on my first speaker from based on my first speaker say or this say, the students can able to get other ways to get scholarship. There's the solution is not only to ban this. Always other solution. The other solution I can propose is maybe they can propose to upper companies to give them scholarship. So the person who got the scholarship from the government from the company will be 100% work with them. Or if not, they can take the test. If also not, they can problem. So they are only looking our worst case scenario, not our middle case or best case. I will maybe some cannot go to school or go to university. But in the first place, that's the government problem. In the worst case, these people will be rioting because they take their right. Potentially, the poor people who should got the scholarship cannot do scholarship. In the worst case, in our scholarship, worst case, nothing will happen. At the end, in conclusion, in my remarks, I will talk about the negative and positive aspect from the both sides of the house. But in the end, in that best case scenario, there is a lot of problem that is taking away their people rights. At the end, the parents should give us the win. Thank you. That's
All right, thank you so much for the fine speech. I have to conclude the debate from the government side. Please welcome the reply.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to start my reply in 3, 2, 1. Panels, please allow me to sum up today's debates and reply why our side of the house deserves today's win in this debate. So, they stated that inclusivity in our side of the house can't be achieved because of only students that can have this access of this scholarship is only people that have same surname and back name, right? Like Zhang, Eng, and many more, right? Then how about their side of the house? As my speaker has already stated earlier, we only to implement more scholarship, which Ancestry scholarship, right? We're not going to erase or remove the scholarship in their side of the house, which they going to accept are going to give scholarship to people that have good academic, right? We're just going to implement to give this student more alternative, which going to make the student more access, right? Meanwhile, their side of the house only implement academic student and yada 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 to get scholarship. Then how about their side of the house, which their side of the house not going to make more accessible ways to get scholarship for the student, which our side of the house will give more alternative. So going to my second reason, even if that privileged people can have this scholarship due to the same surname and yada yada, remember that it's a fund. I repeat, it's a fund. Therefore, it wouldn't be harm since the ancestor want to help people, and the fact that they don't know who people that are going to accept whether they are privileged or underprivileged, which their ancestor already accept the consequences, right? And also the fact that the underprivileged, the ones that give the fund doesn't mean that they have to be like have this much money or like really crazy rich, right? And they question how if the people don't have this surname, right? Which it's not unfair, they say, right? Panels about this not fair thing, it's also going to happen in their side of the house, since their side of the house only gives scholarship to the people that have good academic and yada yada yada. Meanwhile, there are students that are slow, even they already try so hard to study, they are still don't have this good academic in how the education system see, right? And ladies and gentlemen, our side of the house won't give this unfair thing, as they said that not all people have this surname in that certain place, right? However, there are many kind of surname, especially in big school and high school like Harvard or Oxford and many more, right? And also, if the surname don't have in this certain high school, they can just find another high school with their surname, right, which going to help them, and it wouldn't be a problem with implementing the system in our side of the house, and it only going to bring a benefit, which going to make more accessible so that student can have this scholarship, right? And they stated that not all people have this privilege panels, as my speaker already stated, quote, not only privileged people that can give fund. What we are going to implement is not that we're going to force people to give a big amount, right? Remember that this is a fund, not that only privilege can give fund, right? They can just give small amount of money day by day, month by month, year by year, which at the end it will be a big amount. In conclusion, not only privileged people that can give fund. And they stated that scholarship is to give people education, and they are contradict by themselves by proposing to ban the ancestry scholarship, right? And by all this contradiction, we can see that the other side of the house didn't pay attention to our explanation panels and clashes, which side of the house going to give a better and effective system to the student. In their side of the house, they are only going to implement this scholarship by academic, which we're going to give scholarship to the people that have good academic, right? And in our side of the house, we're going to give more ways to achieve implement by going to give more accessible and give more ways to achieve scholarship by implementing this ancestry scholarship, right? Which we're just going to make more accessible ways, right? And because of all of those reasons, we are strongly believe that our side of the house deserves to win this debate today. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Government reply.
All right, gonna set my timer first. All right. Sorry. I'm going to start my speech in 3. Wait. In 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, if the government side, the opposition side of the house always talking about this is only a fund, this is only a message of how we give the fund, and it's not forcing anyone, particular actors to actually contribute to that particular ancestor scholarships and so on and so forth. We believe that they are going to win to another debate, but not in this debate. First of all, this debate is going to 3 fundamental things. First, what is ancestry scholarship? We have already acknowledged, based also in the context slide, that we are acknowledging that there is a particular essence of what defining what ancestry scholarship is, and we believe that our point is quite clear. But the government, the opposition side of the house, are keep going into their stances, saying that it is only matters of fun and so on and so forth, which is they maybe win, but not in this debate, because that's actually not going to that is actually not we are talking about in this debate. Their burden of proof is they should be explaining to us like why the exclusivity is totally okay, and why the exclusivity to only to only particular family is very totally justified, and so on and so forth. We cannot found that particular point on their speech until the end of the day. Second of all, we have already explained, like the moment they are saying that you can't just go find the high school with the same surname and so on and so forth, it's going to be some simple things to sum up everything and being a great solutions. We cannot say that is not just go find, ladies and gentlemen. For example, like you are like what my previous speakers have already told you about the likelihoodness. For example, like you are living in a family in a very small village in a very in a very small town, for example, and you cannot just go abroad, or you cannot just go move out in the city, and that's more likely to happen. And how could you just go to find the high school with the same surname? That's going to be very difficult, and that's going to be very not a an absolute solution to begin with. And we think that it is not actually harmful to stick with the status quo, as long as status quo could give a better also, for example, like like by saying that her name but no support since they are excluded from that family. That's actually what we are going to talk about. We're we're exactly we want to eliminate the ancestor scholarship, because the mechanism, the dynasty system that is attached to ancestry scholarships and only are going to be exclusively are going to be forever in those mechanism of ancestry scholarship admission, ladies and gentlemen. That's never going to solve anything on society or even eliminating any gap on the social. And we believe that this is not going to that's equality and accessible access towards educations are not going to be achievable under this side of the house. We have already mentioned about best case scenario and worst case scenario, but comparatively to their to their side of the house, they are going to talk about the benefit, the benefits and how the fund are going to affect the whole society, which we cannot recognize that the opposition side of the house totally confused on stancing, or totally confused on how could they manage to they stance legislation, because they are also mentioning about particular points that is actually and should be refers to only the government side of the house, like by saying these and that. And in a work scenario, we believe that even if equality failed to be achieved, for example, like because very complicated requirements comes from ancestry scholarship, we are not going to say it's perfectly fine, because even if at the end of the day, if the equality will not be 100% achieved, the rich people, for example, can still afford the education. Meanwhile, the lower economic family students are going to also reach the betterment, since they are earning such help and assistance from from financial aid and academic scholarship, if they are real competent and they're significant on their students academic sectors. We believe that's the most matter and why we should win this debate. Thank you.